If the guy proposed just right outside your house next to a dumpster. This is Tin Man Lee here. Today we are gonna talk about animal behavior. So if you ask me what is the best way to evoke emotion in photography, it will be capturing the inner action. It kind of spans in all kinds of photography, be it humans or wild animals. If you can capture the inner action, it really helps you to move people in photography. So today I'm going to share with you a few techniques on number one, how to find this inner action, right? If you are living in Los Angeles like me, it's not very easy to see birds and wildlife. All you see is just buildings and humans, right? So how do you find them and when do you find them? And second is when you see this inner action, how do you capture them, right? Because sometimes, you know, like you get some really amazing action. And if you take some photos, you were really moved by the moment, but when you show to people, they are not as moved as you. So I want to explain to you why. So first of all, so let me show you one photo. So this is a photo of king penguins displaying mating ritual. So when I first started photography, I thought a bird is a bird is a bird, a wildlife is a wildlife is a wildlife. But surprisingly, in the wild nature, things are different than the human world. A lot of the birds or even animals, they change their feathers, their color, what they call is the breeding plumage during the mating season, because usually it's the male that wants to attract the female, and they will have much better color on their face, on their wings, on their body and those. So if you are a photographer, you want to take specific species of the birds and animals during that time because they're just very good looking. So this is in December in Falkland Islands that I went many years ago, and during that time there was a lot of mating, and then there are also babies coming out around that time too. This shows you one of the examples of inner action, and you can agree with me, right? When you see something like that, and you can kind of relate to like, oh, like birds, they don't have hands like us, right? They can't like embrace themselves like humans, so they use their bill to lean on the back and the shoulder to show their affection. However, let me show you another example here. This is another species called the rockhopper penguin, and you can see that comparing this photo from the previous one, besides the species that is different, you should be able to see that the lighting is very different. So I still remember one of my favorite books by Robert McKee called The Story, and he mentioned one thing that really make a huge difference in my photography. So the example he gave is, for example, if a guy is proposing to a girl, that is the emotion, right? You just imagine the moment when the guy was kneeling down, and everybody's around them is just so shocked and surprised, and then, you know, the girl would be like, oh my God, you know. However, if the guy proposed just right outside your house next to a dumpster at night with like this smell and then rats running around and stuff like that, what are the chances that the guy would be successful in that proposal compared to if they travel to a beautiful mountain and the guy was waiting at sunset when the last ray of the sun was right on top of the horizon disappearing, and then this backlit is coming, and then, you know, the guy kneel down, right? Everywhere was like with this golden light, right? So that is what Robert McKee called the mood. So anything that can create a powerful story, you need emotion, which is this behavior, but you also need another component, which is the mood. Robert McKee said story equals mood plus emotion, and that is why sometimes you need to create this mood. And one of the idea is to remove a lot of the distractions in the background, in the field. You can sometimes turn a photo into black and white, and then you simplify the photo, and then you look for these lines, and there's no overlapping of the bill to show. So this is the black brown albatross. This species of albatross have very human-like eyes, right? Can you see that the eyeshadow here? Trying to capture the emotion, this kind of breeding behavior is very good idea to get great photos, but you also need to get the mood. So I want to share with you 3 ideas on how to take photos with this kind of behavior, especially the mating behavior, and how to take great photos of that. I want to share with you 3 stories actually, and these are some of the stories that I would not forget. Number 1, so let me ask you a question. If you know that next Friday is Black Friday, would anyone go out today to Best Buy to buy a brand new big LED OLED TV? If you know that Black Friday is a week away, I hope you say no, because you all know that there's likely a lot of crazy discounts in a week. And you wouldn't just go randomly to buy it, especially when it's near the time. And the same thing applies to photography, especially wildlife and bird photography. In that, you need to understand the timing of when they are going to mate, right? So for example, for brown bears, they usually mate, meaning that the male would pursue the females around, especially in Alaska, the coastal brown bears, they would pursue the female around the time in like June or July. So if you go in May, that would be too early, unless it's in Yellowstone or something. But you just have to do a lot of research on that. And if you go in August and you hope to see that, it's not gonna work. I still remember one year I went to Alaska and we were photographing a mother bear with 2 spring cubs. I was just so happy. Photographing, and then there is a family who came and to join this group. And the father of that group was so mad. And I was like, this is 2 spring cubs with the mom. What are you talking about? He said, I only want to see bears with fish in the mouth. I want a refund. And the problem is that, if you want to see bears with the fish and stuff, you have to follow the salmon run. And at that time is in late June, early July. In that area in Alaska, you're not going to see bears with salmon because there's no salmon there. That really shows that people are not really paying attention. But anyway, so let me share with you one example. So was it 2 years ago, 3 years ago, I was in Alaska with a group and we were following this male bear, a big male brown bear. People call him Snaggletooth. He's a very famous male bear there. He has a not very handsome face because probably due to the fighting, he has one tooth kind of dangling out his mouth. We followed him for a few days and we realized that he was trying to pursue a female bear. However, we also, maybe it's just our imagination, we felt that he didn't have a lot of self-confidence. You may laugh at me when I say that, but you can see from his behavior, like every time when the female is closer by, he would actually he would not take any action. He would just turn around and then eat some grass or go to look for some clams or whatever, and he just didn't take action, and we were just so frustrated with him. And then we waited and waited for a few days, and this was the perfect time, early July, so we know that the mating season was happening. And then one day, it was a beautiful evening. The sun is dropping, and then you can see this backlit forming. So that evening, we saw this is the beautiful blonde female, and she was walking closer and closer. So this is Snaggletooth. Look at his big triangular face. And he also saw the female, and he got a little bit scared, surprisingly. And then look at this female. She is pretending, I guess, to eat the grass, but she kept on glancing at Snaggletooth. And then the female actually took action, which is, you never saw something like that. You never saw a female walking towards a male like this active. I hope that in human worlds it's like that too. So suddenly, look at that. Snaggletooth finally realized that it's his chance, and then he shook his head. He's like, okay, I gotta go. And then he is slowly doing his really handsome move, right? Look at that walking. He's really showing off his masculinity when he's walking towards the female. We were just so nervous. We didn't even dare to breathe or make any noise. Look at that. Finally, Snaggletooth is getting closer and closer to the female. And as you can see, the female actually slowed down to let him come close. And then this is the moments that we have been waiting for. Look at that. Yeah, and of course, we got into a backlit position, and the flies and everything really catch the backlit, and then we were able to watch them do the mating, and it was just incredible. It's all about going at the right time. So that is the photo that I took. One of the photos, I mean, I'll post more photos if you follow my Instagram page, but we were all so happy for 𝐥𝐤𝐤 because he finally score. They probably have babies because the next year, that's when the pandemic happened, and Alaska was closed to a lot of the tourists, and some of the guys and a few people actually went there, and they said that the next year there were so many little spring cubs going around, so probably the babies of 𝐥𝐤𝐤 and the blondie bear there. The first tip is identify the opportunity, right? You get to know the good time. However, there are some animals that they mate any time in the year. For example, some big cats, like lions, cheetah, leopard, they can mate any time of the year. So is that the end of any hope? No. So you just keep track of, you keep talking to people. You know that there is gonna be a cub. Like this past year, I was hoping to photograph some serval kittens, and I heard that there were kittens coming out, and you just book your flight. So because sometimes you never know that this may be your once in a lifetime opportunity. Well, thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoy these stories, and please stay tuned for part 2, where I'm going to talk about the most critical skill in the field that really took me years to learn. And please subscribe, click like, and leave your comment. It will mean a lot to me, and I'll try my best to reply to your comments. So if you have any questions, if you have any suggestions for future videos and stuff like that, just please type in the comments below. Thank you so much, and see you next time.